All right. Positive energy all the time. Represent your city. Everybody on Facebook. I'm representing Chicago. Everybody on Kick, Twitch, YouTube, and my other Facebook account. Both Facebook accounts. Salute to everybody. Hope you're doing well. Rep your city. Rep your city. Represent your city. Here we go with a late night thingamajig. My apologies if you were logged in earlier. We have had some technical difficulties. They were upgrading the equipment today in this area, and then they sometimes have to come and do everybody individually. So I had to have them reboot my system, and hopefully we're rocking and rolling. We will see.
Some things are out of.
Yes, indeed. Come on in. Come on in. Let us know where you're from. It's always good to represent your city. Let's see, am I lacking? No, it looks like I'm all right. Looks all right. Let's rock and roll. Rep your city, rep your city. Let us know who's here, where you're from. It's always good when people watch the replay and see their cities in the chat. Respect to every city and every town where you all are from. And I hope everybody had a good day. We have San Jose in the building. We have San Jose in the building. Beautiful California. Beautiful California. I really loved living in Los Angeles. I think California is the only place in the United States that there's a certain place you can live in California, and it's not like you live in a city. It's like you live in a state. So when I lived in California, we got Minneapolis in the building. When I lived in California, it was like I lived in a state. Living in Chicago, I live in a city. But living in Los Angeles, I lived in a state because I was always in San Diego. I was always in San Juan Capistrano, Santa Barbara, Ventura, Sacramento, San Francisco, Oakland, and many, many, many other places, too many to name. So tonight I'm going to be talking about the code of the streets. We have the great city of New York in the building. New York, New York. We got Brooklyn, New York. Shout out to everybody in New York. I gotta hurry up and get back up to New York. I think everybody in America should go to New York no less than once every 2 or 3 years. So you could really stay on top, be advanced. We got Richmond, Virginia in the building. In New York, I went to New York and it was really advanced. A whole different world, way ahead of everybody else in the country. I think as far as going to a city, Chicago's very beautiful. Chicago's probably the most cleanest city. Very beautiful. But I think the most amazing thing I've seen so far in a city was Times Square. People in New York are probably used to it, but Times Square is absolutely incredible to see. If you've been to Vegas and you've seen all the lights in Vegas, it's very amazing too. But compact like Times Square is beyond. It is something to see. I'm telling you. Never seen that many lights anywhere before in my life. It's definitely something you want to see. You want to see Times Square on a Friday or a Saturday night. If you want to be around the whole world, I'm not exaggerating. If you want to be around people from the whole world, go to Times Square on a Friday or Saturday night. The whole world is there. I'm not kidding. I mean, the whole entire world is there. I'm not kidding. Especially probably in the summertime, spring, summer. We went in the summer. I went twice in the summer. The whole world is there. It's incredible. Definitely. Good to see you, April. Rep your city. Rep your city. So tonight's conversation, I've been working out. I'm a little stiff. I've increased my workout if people have been following that. Take a little break this weekend and get ready to really hit it hard. Monday, sipping on a little bit of Hennessy. I haven't had a drink of alcohol since, I don't know, you all probably know better than me. When the last time? Well, whenever you seen me, that was it. Incredible, Goshen. And what happened is I was there with 4 rappers, and the way their shirts were airbrushed and stuff, I learned a little promotion trick, because every time we would stop and I wanted to take their pictures, about 40 people would take their pictures. And these people were from Czechoslovakia, the Virgin Islands, Russia, all the states, all over, taking their picture. Who are you? Who are you? Speaking our colleagues want to know who they are. They thinking they somebody. I said, if you wanted to promote, when I drop my book, that's the first place I'm going, to Times Square. Because if I go right and I'm dressed right and I go with some people, pictures of that book will be all over the world. I kid you not. I am not exaggerating. And I learned that from there because every time we stopped, so I just started stopping and pretending I was taking their pictures. I would stop and just hold the camera and everybody would take their pictures. And we just did that all night. I didn't even have to actually take the pictures, just make it look like I'm taking the pictures. And voila. Oh, I'm going to use that. Best promotion ever. I mean, you will be all over the world. That was back when the Naked Cowboy was out there. I wonder if he's still out there. Shout out to the Naked Cowboy if you're still out there. Your picture ends up all my birthday a couple of years ago. No, I had a drink sometime this year. I had a drink one of these days this year. Maybe about 4 months ago or something like that. Who remembers? I was drinking this Hennessy. That's why it got so low. So yeah, every time they stopped, I took a picture. They figured they somebody famous. A guy took this picture on Times Square, had a computer out there, a big printer, because this is a big picture on that he printed out. I kid you not. Right there, took the picture, had his printer, printed out the big one that hangs up on the wall, everything right on the corner. He had it on a little setup and he had it on with a lock to a street pole. I never seen no hustling like that. I said, if I could come back, if I could do that in Chicago, you know how much money I make? They won't let you do that. Yeah, he took that picture right there on the street. It's amazing. New York is the hustle capital of the world. I don't care what nobody tells you. The hustle is amazing. It's not a joke. I kid you not. It's unbelievable. Light years ahead of the rest of us. Don't let anybody fool you. Light years. So I was on the phone talking to some people, and that's what brought up this conversation. I'm going to talk about the streets. That conversation needs to be had. Especially for a lot of the younger brothers. This conversation will help you a lot. I had a portrait done. I had a drawing done in New York too. Let me see if I can find that drawing. I had a drawing done in New York, right on the corner. It's crazy. Oh man, their hustle is off the chain. New York is off the chain. I love New York. What a great city. Yeah, he drew this right on the street. That's when we had the hats that would have the Philly blunts in the hat. Anybody in Chicago remember that? Yeah, he drew me right on the corner. Hustle game through the roof. So yeah, okay. Tonight I'm going to talk about the code of the streets. To my mods tonight, okay. Block all trolls tonight. I can't talk to the trolls tonight. I enjoy talking to them, but not tonight. So mods, do your thing. I'll go unblock them later. Don't worry if you block them. I'll unblock them. I've been blocking and unblock everybody. I just don't want to interrupt in the conversation. So mods, do your thing. We on the dark side tonight. We blocking the trolls. Shout out to my people in Pretoria, everybody in the project building. All the blacks. All the colors. What's up with the colors in South Africa? Yeah. Hey, when I come to South Africa, don't do me like you do the Ghanaians. Okay, I get a pass. Okay, I gotta wear a shirt say I get a pass. Okay, I can't wait to come to South Africa. Yeah, that's gonna be nice. I really can't wait to come to Africa. I'd like to go to a whole bunch of countries just to check them out. I don't want to go to the. I didn't want to go to the. The safari type. I want to go to the to the hoods. I want to go to the cities. I didn't want to go. I don't want to go to the sightseeing part. I want to go to the hoods, like that big old ghetto in Kenya, places like that. I'm talking to some friends. I think about putting me a team together, a big, strong security team, go to Africa and go to all the worst slums. That'll be a great documentary. I definitely gonna let you know. I can't wait to come see the brothers and sisters in Africa. For sure. Especially South Africa. Like South Africa. I got my big heart for South Africa because they just remind me of our struggle with the apartheid. But tonight, we're talking about the code of the streets. And this conversation came, I was on the phone talking to some brothers. Bro man just got life. If you know, you know. If you don't know, hey, you better ask somebody. So bro man just got life. So my phone's been ding 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 ding. My phone's been jumping off the hook. I mean, we all the same, but not really. There's different like factions. So I'm not really in that particular faction, but it's like one way on the streets, a different way in prison or penitentiary. Now, I've never been to prison. I've never been to the penitentiary, but that's pretty much how it is. He's still one of the guys, as they say. I don't like the term guys. Who, bro, man? you can look him up right quick. You can look him up right quick. Go right quick in Google. Right here. Labar Bromance Span. And they'll tell you everything about it. They just gave him life. Remember DMX talking about Cato? I miss you, Cato. Remember DMX say he missed Cato? Well, allegedly, this crew was the one that El Chapo paid to get rid of Cato. Allegedly. Allegedly, one of the guys, Cato had did something Cato shouldn't have did, and the El Chapo crew and them came up and allegedly got them to take care of it. Allegedly. That's why they call El Chapo in Chicago public enemy number one. And that's why that particular group in Chicago is considered a menace. But anyway, I was on the phone. My phone's been ringing since he got sentenced. Finally, he's been fighting, and he got sentenced. He's in a wheelchair too. Imagine a terror in a wheelchair. Just let that sink in. Yeah, he's in a wheelchair, running things in the wheelchair. Very powerful individual. They just gave him life. Has something to do with me, but not really. I'm not really tied in with that like that. I'm more over here with the P. That's another story. If you know, you know. This is for Chicago people. They know what I'm saying. But that's not what this is about. But that's what led to the conversation. So that's why I got their picture locked in, because my phone's been ringing over him. And some of the people that was calling is affiliated with him. And so it's been a big conversation, and the conversation about that started talking about what's going on in the streets and the situation in the streets. And I figured, you know what? Since I've been talking about the streets on my phone for 2 days, let me just go ahead and have a conversation about the code of the streets and what's going on in the streets and the facts about the streets, the various type of criminals in the streets, a lot of the false information about the streets, and how you really end up becoming a student of the streets. We had the Great Migration, you know that story, and all the blacks started coming up. Detroit, Chicago, all these cities. And that led to gangs. And so we'll start with my particular story. I was born in 1968. And when I was growing up, you typically learn how to ride your bike. If I'm born in 68, I'm riding my little bike up and down at, I'm born in 58, my bad. I'm born in 1958. So you typically going to be riding your bike like 1964, 65, 6 years old, 7 years old. You're finally big enough to, at 5 years old, you're kind of little to control a bike. And back then, they didn't have those little bikes too much. So when you learned how to ride a bike, you had to ride a real bike, a regular big bike. They didn't have a lot of those little bikes. And you can't, the bike's got the tall handlebars, the swings. A little boy, you can't teach him how to ride on something like that. He's got to ride the bike that's got the handlebars kind of like this. I mean, you could. So you learn how to ride a bike and you ride up and down the street. And eventually you get old enough where you can ride around. You can race in the street, to other little boys. And eventually you get to the age where you could go to the park. And once your mother lets you ride your bike to the park, that's it. You're officially in the streets. Because a lot of little boys, the bicycle is their first experience in the streets. It's their first time riding more than just, being more than walking a couple of blocks. And so your first experience as a young black male or mine is with the bike. The bike, once you're riding further with the bike, you start also walking further. So once you ride over here for the first time, even if you don't got your bike, you'll start walking over there. And the gang members are usually more older. So you have to start being familiar with the code of the streets. And this is something you have to learn very, very young. Something I learned very young. And by the time you get out of the sixth grade, that's when things get serious. When you go that summer from sixth grade to seventh grade, things get very serious because up to sixth grade, you go to the little kids' school, the little elementary school. And in those days, seventh and eighth grade was junior high school. So you used to have to go to special schools that had seventh and eighth grade. And then you could go from eighth grade to high school. So you used to have to go to 3 different schools unless you were lucky enough to go to a school that happened to have a junior high school at the regular elementary school and the junior high school together. That's the way it used to be. And so your first experience on the streets is like being a lion cub or a bear cub. And you see the lion cub or the bear cub with the mama. And finally, when the mama leaves the den and got to go out and teach them how to hunt, and now she got to move around, the lions have to learn, that's a hyena, that's a leopard, like that. That's a honey badger. You have to learn that stuff. So when I was growing up, the first code of the street I had to learn was, whose area am I in? Because my parents didn't want me to be in a neighborhood. I grew up in Maple Park. Once I got out of sixth grade, I would have had to go to shoot or one of those schools. They didn't want me to go to one of those schools because, gangs and stuff like that, right? It's like 1970. You're like 12, 11, 12. So my mother decided to send me to a Lutheran school called Zion Lutheran School in 7th and 8th grade. That was in like a white neighborhood with some blacks. So it was kind of isolated. Then when I got out of 8th grade, they wanted to send me to the Lutheran high school. But what happened in those eras is that a lot of blacks had the same idea. So a lot of blacks in Chicago and other places too, they had all these black youth, that's like 8th graders, and they all want to send them to Catholic schools or Lutheran private schools. Not all, but a lot of them, because still most of them still went to public schools. So it's a few, I say, comparatively speaking, because most still went to public schools. But it was still a lot because when I got to the Lutheran high school, there was a whole bunch of young people their parents had the same idea. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago, 116th and Aberdeen. And now when it's time for me to go to high school, I'm going to high school way on 87th over west. So it's like a white community, but it's not really a community because it's like cemeteries over there and businesses. And it's kind of was isolated. So you didn't have to, you know, and you had to take the bus. So you didn't have to deal with no neighborhoods. You didn't have to walk because you got to take the bus because you live far away. But everybody had this idea. So when I go to this Lutheran school, I'm meeting a lot of young blacks from a lot of neighborhoods, like my neighborhood. A lot of black Chicagoans had lived where there was homes, a neighborhood with homes. The Great Migration, they were buying homes. And then some were living in apartments, but a lot of black Americans were living in homes. Homes were very cheap to get. And so what this has to do with the streets, so now my friends, I got my friends I grew up with since 4, right? All the way up that I still am around because I still go home. I go to the park, I hang out the park. I went to the school. So let's Maple Park and Morgan Park. I still got my friends there. And I think about 5th grade, we started drinking like vodka and orange juice and smoking cigarettes, and we would walk around through the neighborhood, and we had to learn the code of the streets. This is before I go to the high school and meet the other various blacks. All of this ties in together. Bear with me. So I'm outside, like 5th grade, 6th grade, because we would get like vodka and orange juice, get our little cigarettes for 28 cents, and we'd walk around in the neighborhood. Now, in these days in black communities, like a place like Chicago, the way black people used to raise their children is the boys, once they get like 5th grade and they really run in baseball, the boys can go to the park, to the baseball field, to the basketball court and stuff. The girls can't. The girls have to stay on the block. So you have all these blocks, and all the girls are on the blocks, and all the boys from them various blocks are at the park. If there is a girl at the park, she either lives right across the street from the park, so technically she's still on the block. But if she lived on one of the other blocks, they would call those girls fast. But those days, mothers and fathers didn't let the girls be fast. So what does that have to do with the code of the streets? Well, the girls had to stay on their blocks. The boys playing baseball, basketball, we don't have to stay on the block. And the nature of us growing up is in the day, like summertime, in the day we get up, boys will be boys. We want to ride our bike with the boys. We want to play basketball. We want to play baseball. We want to play football. So we just surround boys. But the nature of people in the evening time and the way the parents raised you, you had to come back on the block as it started getting evening. Once it started getting like 7 p.m., you could come on the block. And then if it's summertime, you could stay out there as long as other children was out there, which would usually be 10:30. Sometime earlier, Frankenstein or Dracula coming in. We are Dracula coming on. So that would be when we would start to deal with the children. I mean, with the women. What sparked it is a conversation. I was on the phone, talk about brother just got life in prison, one of the foes on the west side. Then we started talking about, the streets. And I decided to come and explain them the code of the streets and how we learned it and all of that. So, because the girls have to stay on the block, and now you're getting 6th grade, 7th grade, in order to see the girls, you gotta walk around through the community and you have to go on their block. Because in these days, it's 1970, early 70s, mid 70s, really all through the 70s, the girls were not walking around the community. Only boys. And the reason the boys were walking around the community because the boys really were heavy on bicycles. And then bicycles, riding your bike everywhere. Once you ride everywhere, you also walk everywhere. So part of the foundation of Black American culture then was the boys moved around through the community once they got about the 6th grade, sometime the 5th grade. The girls are on the block. If you want, we lived on Aberdeen. If you want to see my sister, Denise, Michelle, and them, you got to come on Aberdeen. And so because we're walking around, we're meeting these girls on other blocks. So to talk to them, you got to go. If the girl live on Troop, you got to go on Troop with the girls on Troop. They never coming over where you're at. And so now you're in the 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. You're walking through the community, going where the girls at, or you just walk around drinking, having fun. But you had to begin to learn the code of the streets. Because, you're in 6th grade. You're in 7th grade. But you're walking, and the big boys is out there. Okay? The sophomores, the juniors, the seniors, the gang members, they're in the streets. And you're a little boy, but once you're in the streets, it's all fair. So early, even as an innocent young Black male in Chicago, on the south side, west side, whatever, for you to go out and go where the girls was at, or to move around further than your block, further than the park, and even at the park, you had to know certain codes of the street. So my first lesson of the code of the streets is you had to read all the graffiti. If you went in a neighborhood, because now you might be a freshman, sophomore, you might even be driving, or whatever, or maybe you're going to play basketball, your school playing another school in another neighborhood. Because I'm like going to a Lutheran school, so in the 8th grade, we might got to play Resurrection. They over there on 95th, off of 95th and State at Princeton Park. Or you might play Mayor Daley basketball, and you might got to go play with one of your friends that go to school with you, and he live at Oakdale Park. So by going to these Lutheran schools, I know a lot of Blacks at different areas, but you got to know the gangs. You got to know everything about the gangs, even though you're not in the gang. You have to know who's the dangerous young boys in that area. They might be 2, 3, 4 years older than you. You have to know who they are. Who don't you want to bump into? You have to read all of the graffiti so that you would know which gang is over there. In those days when they run up on you, you 6th grade, 7th grade, and you walking as 3 of y'all, and you run into 3 8th graders or 3 sophomores. They that age, they might not even, no telling what grade they might even be. They might be playing hooky. They might not be going to school regularly. So we talking about the decent, good kids running into the ones that's going to be going in and out of jail and stuff like that. Young like that. So you have to know what gang. You have to keep your eyes open because you can't just walk up into a pack of boys. When you see a pack of boys, there's 3 of y'all, you see a pack of 4 boys, 5 boys, you got to try to go the other way. You got to know the streets. You got to know who's there. I'm going to get to grown, but this is when it starts. I'm starting from the beginning. Right? So you got to know, right? Because you're a little boy. I'm talking as a little boy, so you don't know nothing. You don't know the leaders. They're older than you. You're in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. The gang members is, they 17, 18, 19, 21, like that. And this is you and this is their ages. And let's say you're a freshman. When you run into the gang, they older than you. They like seniors or would be freshmen in college. And they got one dude running with them that's your age. You understand what I'm saying? They got a couple dudes running with them that's freshmen, that's your age. So it's a couple dudes your age and older, right? Right? So you have to be aware. It's almost like being in a jungle. And you have to learn the code of the streets. What to do, what not to do, where to go and where not to go. And you start learning this in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, freshman year, sophomore year still. It's really not till maybe your junior and senior year that you really got your legs up under you. That's how many years it takes you to learn the jungle and be able to move in the jungle. And it's so much that you got to learn. So much that you have to learn. And it starts early. And then for a lot of us, we didn't really have to worry about the liquor because, we was drinking young. This is what people don't understand. The streets is not on what most people call decent family time or nothing like that. And the streets, which means once you're outside, the way you was raised had nothing to do with nothing. All that's canceled. Your parents don't know you. They know the you when you come in the house. So the parents have two sons. They have the son come in the house and be the same way they raised him. And then he go outside and they have no idea what they're doing. My parents have no idea I'm drinking. They have no idea I'm drinking vodka and orange juice because I'm only in the fifth grade, sixth grade. They have no idea I'm smoking cigarettes. They have no idea I'm smoking herb by the time when I get out of sixth grade. They don't know none of this. They got two sons. They know that son. They don't know me. The me outside. They don't know me once I walk out the house. I have to put on a facade. I have to be two different people. I have to be one. I have to be a kid when I come in the house, and I'm like a little grown person once I leave outside. Facts. To the point by the time I was like a sophomore in high school, I had a whole lot of money in my room. My father didn't know I was hustling like that. He wouldn't have never he would have never believed that I was hustling like that, making that much money as a sophomore. And so now you learn the codes of the street. Now, when you're going to the liquor store, the only code you have to learn is don't get a winos a lot because the winos will go get our liquor for us. And all we got to do is let them keep some of the change. But you have to know the codes of the street. So if you give this dude $7 and the liquor is $6.20, he can't keep the change. You have to know the codes of the street. You decide, I'll give you 50 cents. He got to give you your change, and then you'll give him what you want to give him. Because he's up there doing it for 25 cents. For a lot of people, just a quarter. So once you know that he's charging a quarter, you give him a quarter. You don't go give him 50 cents. You give him a quarter. That's what he's charging everybody else. That's what he's got to charge you. Because if you go now and you give him 50 cents, you a sucker. Now you're creating somebody to want to exploit you. This is baby. This is the code of the street for as a baby coming in. I haven't even gotten to the adult part. We're going to get to that. This is going to be a long conversation. So this is a baby. This is straight out the womb. In order to move around. This is what I had to learn in the city of Chicago. Straight out the womb. It's not no game. Now, my sister was a year younger than me, and we had to ride the bus from 116th down 87th sometime and over to the Lutheran school. While she still went there, they eventually transferred her. So by me being older, I got to protect my sister. So now when you get on the bus, we kids now. I'm a sophomore, she's a freshman. So me and my sister get on the bus. Even though you're just a sophomore, you ain't nothing but 14, 15. You got to be like a grown man. So now my sister sit on the inside. I sit in the thing. I have to monitor everybody that's getting on this bus and off this bus. I have to know the code of the streets. I have to see a problem early. And even though I'm only 14 or 15, I got to be vicious, period. You can't say nothing to my sister. I don't care how old you are. And the code of the streets is when they get on the bus and they look at you, they have to pick that up. If not, they might try you. So your whole vibration gotta be rough. And you ain't nothing but a kid, but your vibration, it's gotta be like, I'm not the one. So if a man get on there and I'm sitting here and my sister there and he walk past me and he say something, my vibe gotta be this. Right off the top. Or you can't survive. Not on the streets. They're only gonna respect you when they know you don't play, period. They can't even begin to size you up because right off the beginning they know you you're not friendly like that. You don't friendly with no strangers. And there's gonna be a problem. And if you somebody I gotta see a lot and I get on the bus and you seem like you're gonna be a problem, the next day when I get on the bus, I'm gonna have something for you. Some type of weapon. Now, I'm not trying to promote no violence. I'm just telling you how it was. I'm not telling you to go out do no violence or nothing, but you're in a situation, I'm telling you about self-defense. You're in a situation of danger. So if there's a certain person that seems like they want to pick with you, something like that, you carry that all the way home with you. When you get home, you always think about that person. I got to see this person tomorrow. And you think about how you're going to deal with this situation with this person. Because this person got to leave you alone. It's not negotiable. They got to get the point one way or the other by your attitude or by action. So this is early. And then now we young, so we smoking herb. So now you got to learn more because you going to OG's cribs to get this stuff. These dudes is Vietnam age, 21, 22, 23. You 15, you 14, right? And you got to go and you spending money with what y'all would call OGs. They way older than you. So if I just got out of sixth grade and I'm smoking. So how old is you then? Like 12 something? And I'm going and I'm buying stuff from dudes 15, 16. So if I'm buying my product from somebody 15, 16, I'm 12, he going to be 15, 16, 17, sometimes 20. I don't get to act 12. I got to act more like this. I can't deal with him and I'm not doing little boy stuff. So that robs a lot of your childhood because you're dealing with a grown man or somebody almost grown, but you ain't number 12. But you got to know don't play with you though. So it hardens you. You learn from the streets. You become street early, real early. You really don't have no choice. You either going to adapt to the jungle or you're going to stay in the house up under your mama's apron. Now you going to go to the park and shoot basketball? You going to go outside and be a boy or you going to hide in the house? It's just that simple. And so he's a little boy when I back up, sixth grade, fifth grade. We knew the code of the streets. We walking. It's about four of us. We look 2 blocks, we see some older boys turn and they walking our way. We run right away. We run before they see us. This is the streets. We run, we see them first and we go, we gone. They ain't even know they ain't even see us. We 2 blocks down, block down. We see them, we go the other way. These are the things you learn. But if we were right here, okay, this is the long way. We here. They turn the block there. We run. But let's say we right here and they turn the block right there. You can't run. Too close. If they turn the block here and you here, you go that way. Because it's a long block. It's a city block. So we walking right here. They turn the block here. Anywhere too far for them to catch you. They turn the block, you go the other way, you gone. You understand? Because when you see a group of dudes, these ain't friendly dudes. The friendly dudes ain't out there walking around like that. So it ain't like you just running from the big kids. These ain't kids. These gang members. These ain't kids. In my neighborhood, these is going to be Blackstones or Lynchman, Suricon, gangster. It's not going to be no kids. The boys they age that ain't gang members, they ain't walking around. They not walking around in a group. The boys they age is not gang members. It's going to be just one turn the corner or two. When you see 5 of them out here just walking around, those ain't kids. Those are official gang members. We the kids. Because you a kid just finally coming outside. And you outside with people that's not close to your age at all. So it's not like you're a freshman and you're running from a sophomore. No. You're a 6th grader, a 7th grader, 8th grader, and you running from somebody that would be a junior or a senior or 1 year out, would be a freshman in college. Some of them look like grown men. They outside. They not the decent ones. That's why I say the code of the street. You got to be able to recognize 3 dudes is just regular cool down dudes and 3, 4 dudes is gang member types. The way they walk, the way they dress, you could tell right away. You could tell which one of them are just regular dudes, and you could tell the troublemakers. This is the code. You got to be able to read that like that. And when you live in a neighborhood, you memorize all of them. So you're like, is that Fat Sam in there? Or is that Peter Rabbit? You know their names carry weight through the community. When you're at the park and that kind come to the park, you identify. Everybody identify. Who is that? Oh, that's Harold Vassell. That's Peter Rabbit. In fact, you remember, you got to remember that it's the street. It's the code of the streets. This as a kid. I'm going to get to the adult part. This is as a kid. This is how you survive in the street. You have to remember the certain elements in the community. Even if you see them from a distance, you have to know who is who. You have to. This is when I grew up as a young person. And in my generation, we was outside more than anybody. Because down south, they was outside, but they didn't have neighborhoods like that. The houses was far apart. So we really the first generation where everything's close. So that's why all those gangs started when I was young. All those gangs started, the Blackstone Rangers, the Disciples, all of them started when I was a little kid. Now on the west side, some of them started a little bit before I was born, but they didn't really become like that until I'm, a kid. And by the time we in like the fifth or sixth grade, it's serious. And so now by the time I get in seventh and eighth grade, the streets has hardened me. I'm not the regular kid I would be. Now, by the time I'm in the eighth grade, a freshman, I'm shooting dice with these dudes. So I'm in a dice game. I ain't nothing but a freshman. These dudes is like the age of seniors, college freshmen, sophomores of college, juniors of college. I'm shooting dice with them. Why? Because the streets have made me so cold. The streets have made me cold as ice. They ain't nothing to me. I'm out here trying to take their money. Seriously. From the ones I used to see to now, I'm in the dice game with them. This is what the streets do to your sons, for sure. The daughters, it's a little different, but the sons, this is what happened to the sons. You're going to have two types of sons. You're going to have one that's sheltered. The one that's sheltered, he's going to be his real age. The one that's not sheltered, he's going to be 3 years older mentally. He's going to grow up much faster. You're not going to know him. And you also ain't going to know if your son is that person, because they're going to come back home and they're going to still be the one you know. They're going to have split personality. That's why you got to check them, because sometimes they go the wrong way. They get on them substances and they lose themselves. Now, because I was reading the streets so clear, I seen the junkies, I seen the drunks so early. To me, they was whack. It was the streets. So now you don't want to be the bomb up there. You don't want to be the bomb that's going to buy your liquor when you're in the sixth grade, right? Because we going up there, we giving the bomb dudes, the winos, we giving them our money. They going to get our Wild Irish rolls or whatever, and they come out, we give them a quarter. Now, why them dudes never ran off with our money? Because we like the little rascals. Listen, you're a grown man and you're a wino. We in the seventh grade. We come up there, we give you our money to get our wine for us. We say we're going to give you a quarter. Don't you know if he run off with our money, don't you know it's going to be a problem? Why? Because it's the code of the streets. We can't let him do that. Now we're in the seventh grade. So the first thing we're going to do is find an ally his age. Say, hey, man, Joe ran off with our money, man, and get the ally his age to go, man, you ran off with them kids' money. Hey, get them kids their damn money back, like that. So they really wouldn't do that because they looking at you as, if you coming up to this liquor store buying liquor, and you only in the 6th grade, 7th grade, 5th grade, you ain't nobody to play with. Because they know the code of the streets too. They know you ain't no A, B, C, D, E, F, G kid if you come up here to get this stuff. They know if they do something to you, it's gonna be consequences some kind of way. Because we wouldn't be up here if you could just take our money. What make you know what I'm saying? For us to give you our money to go in there, we already know you bet not. You know what I'm saying? And they know it too. You know it too. Because back in those days, if you did something like that, the other older winos find out, they're going to be at you. Because, you know, with still some decency, still even in the streets. So it's just like when you go watch animal programs and stuff, you'll see the animals have to learn the code of the jungle. You have to know it. Women, they got to know, if women don't know the code of the streets, something going to happen to them. They're going to walk up to their car. It's going to be a napkin in the door. They're going to touch it. They're going to fall out because they're supposed to know that napkin got stuff on it. You can't just be no square out here. You can't be a square. You got to know what's going on in the streets because you don't got to go to the streets will come to you. Right now, they sticking stuff on people's cars, and when you touch, you pass out. They give you a piece of paper, you touch it, you pass out. You can't accept nothing from nobody. Don't touch nothing. Even though money on the ground, you touch it, you'll fall out. They tank the money with substances. They lay it there, knowing when you pick it up, it's over. You come out, it's a van too close to your car, lady. You can't. If somebody in that van, they waiting for you to go turn around, open your door, they're going to snatch you in that van. You got to really know the streets. You got to know the codes of the street. You got to study the bad stuff. And when especially women, when you get out here and you don't want to know nothing about what's going on bad, how you going to survive? You have to know all the crimes, all the kidnappings. You have to. You are in the streets. No matter how you look at it. You got a car, you're going to work, you're in the street. You go in a grocery store, you're in the streets. You're in the streets. And you have to know the codes of the street. Let's take a break. And it doesn't matter if you're decent or not. It doesn't matter if you live in a really nice neighborhood or not. If you don't know what's going on, you still got to drive around in your car. You still have to make sure nobody burglarizes your home. Nobody carjacks you. You can't live in a box. You got to know what's going on out in the world, on the freeway, at gas stations, at restaurants. You have to keep up with that type of stuff. And so then for me, the next thing you know, I didn't want to pay money for certain stuff. So I sold it so I could I was always an entrepreneur. So I realized Why would I buy this stuff when I could sell it and I could just have mine for free? And my parents trying to get me out the hood, so they send me to a Lutheran school, right with the older white dudes that got all the stuff. And so because I'm aware of business and everything in the streets, I realized I can get the stuff from this Lutheran school from these white dudes. I can take this stuff back to the neighborhood. I can get rich. And so early as a freshman, I was making a lot of money for my age from observing the streets. And that street mentality just went with me everywhere. And even though my parents sent me to a Lutheran school from, a black public schools and sent me to Lutheran school with whites and blacks, the knowledge and the vibration I got from being where there were some gang members, because it wasn't gang infested, but there was gangs. There was gangs. There's gangs everywhere where there's black people live in cities like Chicago. There's some gang members there. It's not always gang infested. Like I lived in O Block. Everybody is the people in O Block that's gang members, a small percentage that's actually gang members in O Block. The majority of the people in O Block is single women with babies, older people 50, 40, like that. The majority of people are just regular people that's on public housing. A lot of little children. It's not as many gang members as you think that's actually in there. Out of the thousands of people in there, it ain't going to be nothing but like a couple hundred gang members, if that many. And so you have to learn how to move around all these different elements in the community. You got to know it. And some things make you have to know it more than others. But it's something I had to learn. So next thing you know, I was selling stuff because being observant and really growing up fast. And now I'm going to this Lutheran school and this mad opportunity from the school back home. These things I could get at this school from these older white dudes. I could take that back to the hood and I'm the man. But now I still gotta watch the code of the street. So now that I'm going to this Lutheran high school, a lot of people send their children to Lutheran high school. So now my friends, I live on 116th in Aberdeen, but now my newer friends I'm meeting, they live on 87th and Cole. They live on 95th in Princeton. They live 43rd. They live here. So now I'm visiting them. Now I'm going to more neighborhoods because I'm leaving out of the community, going to a Lutheran school, and there's a bunch of blacks leaving out of their community, going to a Lutheran school. So now I'm around a lot of blacks from a whole lot of community. So my parents' idea to send me to a public school to a private school or a Lutheran school, so I wouldn't have to go to public school right in my neighborhood. It did have benefits, but I end up being in more neighborhoods because all the parents had the same idea. And now I'm meeting everybody from all the neighborhoods who parents trying to save them. So let's say in the neighborhood, you got some good kids. You got kids like us we're not bad kids, but we kind of like positive but street. Then you got the real negative street. Well, when the parents sent a lot of these kids to these private schools, it was a bunch of us there. A lot of us was positive street. So now I'm in more neighborhoods. So now I'm I'm just young. I'm only 15, 16, 17. But now I'm over the whole Chicago. So it was good, but because of the way I was, it just made me bigger in the city. It was only the fact that because I wasn't negative anyway that it worked out. But if I would have been negative anyway, I would have got in more trouble. Because now I'm in every hood. Now I'm around every gang, every hood. So then I had to really turn up and understand the code of the street because I'm not in Maple Park or Morgan Park no more. I'm on 95th and Halsted. You got to know what's going on over there. So every neighborhood my friends was at, the first thing I got to learn is who's the bad guy over here? Who's the one, the Debo? You got to know the Debos in every neighborhood. You don't get away from the code, the street code. There's nothing you can escape unless your parents move you out to the suburbs. And if you move your son or daughter, especially your son, to a neighborhood that's mostly white and some racism, and your son don't know nothing about street code and stuff like that, he gonna be fooled. He gonna end up having mental problems and everything because the racism gonna overpower. We lost a lot of blacks like that where you sent them where they got dominated and they really got mentally beat down because you sent them into a racist situation, trying to make them more Negroish, trying to make them more successful. But you didn't understand the backside to what they had to put up with, being the black guy surrounded with all this racism, and your son or your daughter is kind of goody two shoes. So they run over them. A lot of times they end up, when you see a lot of these blacks and you say, dang, he acts extremely white. He's a sellout. He's not a sellout. He been beat down when he went to school. They sent him to school and he's already been compromised. He's already been bullied and forced to like that. That's a fact. I know that for a fact. They've been forced to like try to emulate, you know? They've been forced to fit in. That's why they be like, oh, he's acting white. He's not really acting white. He's a victim of certain things he had to go through being dominated. He had to fall in line. What else he gonna do? Young like that. You sent him into the piranha tank. And so learning the code on the street in Maple Park, 116th and Aberdeen and Morgan Park, and being outside playing basketball and learning over there, everything over there with certain gang members over there, learning how to stay out of their way and move. When my parents sent me to the Lutheran school and I was a freshman, I was kind of came on time because there was kind of more blacks there, so it wasn't able to be as racist as it was maybe 2 years before I got there. But it was a little bit there. But the element of racism if I'm a freshman and if there's juniors and seniors that's white, that's racist, let's say I'm a freshman, they like here, right? But because I've been outside where I'm at, I'm right here. So they really wasn't no match for me because fortunate enough for me, I had been outside like that. So they wasn't talking about nothing because the fear factor of me being, let's say I'm a black freshman and it's a racist white junior and he's older than me, the fear factor that would be there didn't exist because in the hood, the older dudes I was around was worse than him. So if this supposed to be the fear factor, but because of how I grew up outside and knowing the code of the streets, if I'm a freshman, you send me to a racist white dude that's a junior, this is him, but this is me though. Even though I'm just a freshman, he not on my level because I've been out moving around the real jungle. I've been dodging real hyenas and lions and stuff. You kind of like a young bear or trying, but it's not the same. You're not scary. No. Because I'm a freshman, you a junior, but you gotta understand, I've been dodging gangsters from fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade. I already been dealing with this 5 years ago. And they was scary for real. You a joke. So by the time they sent me to a mixed school, it's like, what? Seriously. I remember I was a freshman and they used to have chapel and I had snuck a tall boy slits in there. I'm in there drinking a beer. So you know what I'm saying? My parents trying to save me. I'm a freshman at the Lutheran school. They have religion like I think on a Tuesday in the gym. I'm up there. I got a tall can of beer. So I'm down there. Oh, why? Because I've been outside, in the black community and nice black community with nice houses. I wasn't even in the projects. So people don't understand the hood ain't the projects. The hood is short for neighborhood. Hood don't mean projects. Hood don't mean broke. Hood is the black community. And I don't care how much money they got in the black community. If they got a lot of children, it's up. The only way it's not is going to be whites and blacks live out there like a suburban, like the Brady Bunch neighborhood, something like that. And so you see why I never sent my kids to them. I never sent my kids to those type of schools because those schools, the racism do more damage if your children ain't strong enough than any education they're going to get. The racism do too much damage. Going there and knowing, why would I send my children somewhere they be oppressed all the time so they could get good grades, but they ain't nothing but a shell of a person? Still today, if you meet a black person, they could be grown. If they went to those type of schools, you can see it's something not there. Blacks, seriously, blacks that are forced to be around like white situations, they lose something because they're basically dealing with intimidation and bullying constantly. Even if it's not physically bullying, they're dealing with prejudice heavy and they have to accept it. And so now once you got to accept prejudice and you got to get in to fit in and you got to be like a, you know, and that's a good point because when I went to the Lutheran school, there was some of them there, upperclassmen, before more blacks came, and they was all messed up. And they was so messed up. The black brothers that went to the mixed school before it got more mixed, and now they like seniors and juniors, and now we come in there, and the white guys would invite me to the parties and stuff. And the star on the football team that's always just been around the white dudes a lot, he ain't like me. Because all these white dudes, they like me, and I ain't have to do what he had to do to be liked. For him to have to be like, he had to sell himself. So he's a Jolly G. Willikers black dude, and he's looking at them like, well, why y'all messing with him? I done did all of this. Okay, I done emulated you all to be the guy. I thought I was the guy. And now here comes this guy. He's not sucking up to y'all or nothing. And y'all like him better than me. Because a lot of the parties that the white dudes would invite me to and stuff, the only other black dude would be there would be one of them Jolly G. Whittaker's black dudes. And they always would be a shell of themselves. And that's just a whole nother story. So when you look at the black community and you look at successful blacks, that's why they don't do nothing for the community, because what they went through to be successful, they don't have no soul no more. They had to go through stuff to do that. So when they talk, well, I went and got education, that ain't all you got. You got robbed of your soul. You got robbed of the way you move. Get around a black dude that's got a really good job and went to those schools and stuff. You can see. You can see him and he can see you. And they believe that way they act, the way they talk, they believe that's success. They believe all of that is success. they really believe that's success. For real. They believe the posturing, the talking, and all that. They really believe that's success. You can't tell them it's not. That whole successful mentality is like that. Can that be undone and fixed? It's something that they don't think nothing wrong with them. So how you gonna fix them? You can only fix something that know it's broke. No, they become that. Because the idea is you have to bow down. It reminds me, I was a freshman, like I said, and I had a tall boy of beer, and I was in the chapel, and the dude was teaching. And I was down there with the black kids my age, like, yeah, da, 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 da. And there was a white dude, he was like a junior, big old dude. And when he seen me down there, and he seen my energy, and he seen that black energy, and he seen me having fun with the other black classmates, and we was underclassmen, and because of that dominant situation, he was a junior. He was like one of the popular, big fat dudes, popular junior with all the whites. He looked down there at me, and you know what he said? He said, hey, dude, shut up. Facts. because I was breaking the rules. I wasn't doing like I wasn't being a good Negro like I was supposed to be. He didn't like that. And I told him, woo, 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 woo. He was a junior. And he say, all right, because I'm just a freshman. He say, when we go out this door, we gonna see. And I basically ran out there. So now when he come to the door, my book's on the ground. I'm like, what's up? Facts. And when one of the seniors or a junior, I think Michael Talbot, he was a star on the football team, he was a quarterback. When he seen that, he came and told me, he said, go to class. And he took care of it. I'm not promoting violence, I'm just telling the story. He told me to go to class. And when lunch came up, like that day or the next day, I seen the big dude, he was at the table with all his like other white dude friends. I went over to his table. And he was like, I'm sorry, man. It's cool, man. And I was in like Flynn. Because, dude, that stuff you was doing, that's over. I don't never want to be that to be successful. Like, I'm not selling my soul. I need to be able to be successful because I got my knowledge. I know how to do the job and stuff like that. I don't need to be no yes man. And I don't need to emulate nobody to do whatever job I got to do. If I'm a doctor, I'm being hired to be a good doctor. I'm being hired to take care of my patients. I'm being hired to do good diagnosis, to give them the right medicine and make sure they're healthy. I'm not getting paid to try to act a certain type of way. It has nothing to do with my job description other than being professional with my patients. I don't got to suck up with the rest of y'all up here at this, you know what I'm saying? I don't got to sell my soul. I wouldn't have no problem in that world. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I would have no problem in that world. I'm glad you said that. No, I wouldn't have no problem in that world. I wouldn't dislike it because wouldn't nobody play with me like that. I would just be there. That world would be around me. I would have no problem in it. Because going to that Lutheran school, I was in that world. I was in that world. And we got it straight. I'm in this world and I'm doing me. This world changed a little bit. I wasn't uncomfortable. I wouldn't be uncomfortable at no hospital or nothing. I would not be uncomfortable. That's the point. I wouldn't be uncomfortable. Because if you was, whatever you were saying, whatever, it wouldn't make no difference to me. Why is who blocked? Blocked from what? I haven't blocked nobody unless they was talking crazy. Yeah, I haven't blocked nobody. Like if you talk crazy, I'm gonna block you. Then you're gonna say I blocked you because you're white. But no, I haven't. Really, nobody's blocked on my channel. So see, let me show you something. There's 2 people blocked on my channel because I unblock everybody, right? There's only 2 people blocked on my channel. And every time I finish my live, I unblock everybody, right? So now you look at this person right here. He says, why is every white man blocked with no real evidence that anybody is blocked? He doesn't know anybody's blocked, right? So now look at this mentality. He is prejudging me and making assumptions that I'm blocking white people with no Just saying that. He's a racist. Trying to be a racist and accuse me of being a racist, but he's a racist because he's saying stuff that's absolutely false. There's only 2 people blocked on my channel and they trolls. I don't know what race they are. A racist. You owe me an apology. You owe me an apology. They owe me an apology. No, that's 2 white dudes. He owes me an apology for that. That's disrespectful. Somebody blocked you and you here? You said blocked. If you was blocked, how'd you hear? How you blocked and in the chat? That means if you was blocked and I went in the chat and unblocked you, does that mean I got something against whites if you got unblocked? You got unblocked. You got blocked. You got blocked because of stuff like this. I wouldn't block you not because you're white. I would block you because you come over here saying something that has nothing to do with the conversation. Okay, you come back tomorrow. Okay, yeah, come back tomorrow because you're not on conversation. You're on some goofy stuff. You understand? Yeah, whatever. Come back tomorrow. I'll unblock you later. You understand? I'll unblock you later. Stop drinking. Get your life together. Stop being drunk on the internet. And stop doing that stuff on the internet before you mess around and play with somebody in real life. Stop hiding on the internet doing stupid stuff. You're a grown man. Get your life together, bro. You can find something better to do. Now, you might not get unblocked no more now that I see you not going to never behave. But I still don't know if you're white just because you got them white pictures up there, though. That's an assumption. No, those is losers. Those that have nothing to do with none of that. Anytime somebody's up and they playing around on the internet like that, they're just losers. What they saying is not even valid. They just lose. They just play on the internet. He goes all over the internet and play, not just with me. This is a loser don't have a life. They probably be at home drinking or doing something crazy. I don't take it personal. I feel sorry for people like that because me, I don't got time to do it. So when I see people trolling, I always think to myself, how the hell you got time to do that? Like when I'm on YouTube and everybody I'm watching them because I want to watch them. I just couldn't see myself taking time out of my precious life to be trolling. And so what I look like getting upset at somebody that's a loser and wasting their own life. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing me. He wasting his life. Why would I care? I don't care about stuff like that. This internet. I've been on the internet a long time. So you'll find out. Like, no, I'm a pro. I don't care. Nothing about that. Even when I respond, I don't care. It's ridiculous. But I've been seeing him, but every time he come, he be on some negative stuff. And it's like I unblock him. And then when I unblock you, I feel like you should humble yourself, be like, all right, okay, well, nigga, he unblocked me. And then after I do it so much, when I go, I just leave you blocked. Once I see you're just totally unfit for the conversation. You're just an unfit person for this. And YouTube really should give us a button that we could send them to YouTube so YouTube can get them off the platform. YouTube should have a way that we could notify them of trolls. That's what they need to add next. It should be something like a push where it goes straight, where he goes blocked to YouTube. Because they shouldn't let them people just troll around on here like that. He want to bring up race and stuff like that. But when I was talking about race, I wasn't talking about race from my point of view. I was talking about racism from the white point of view, being racist. Something that when you speak racism, they don't really speak about racism is a one-sided thing in America, to be honest with you. That's a whole nother video. Racism is one-sided. You can't be racist and then black people don't like you and then say they racist when your racism is the reason they don't like you. Which is ridiculous. But as I said, right out of 6th grade, I went to Lutheran 7th, 8th grade in high school. So I already know all different type of races and shit like that. Now I be around too many people. I be around all kind of people. So that stuff's ridiculous. There's no room in my world for racism. So I don't deal with people based on race. I only deal with them based on how they act. So I don't go around no white person and look at them as white. I only deal with how they act. Say for black, anybody. I only deal with how you act. I don't deal with to me, I don't looking at your color and dealing with you, to me is, I don't know, I don't feel it's good for me because I'm not going to be able to really make no good decisions if I'm making decisions on something like that. That's just nothing I would do. To me, it would be lame. To me, just to look at a white person and just don't like them because they like that would be lame because it's just like any food know everybody not the same. Like, who don't know that? Imagine you white and you think all black people is the same. Or you black, you think all white people are the same. You know how crazy you got to be? You done lost your mind. So I can't really buy into that. But sometimes when you criticize white society and how it acts as a whole, they'll kind of take that as racism. You know what I'm saying? Because as a whole, white people don't do a good job with racism, but they're not all racist, but they do a horrible job with racism. They're all responsible for racism, how it is with whites, because they don't do a good job with it. They let it happen. It's a thing like as long as they ain't the ones being discriminated against, they can blow it off. To me, that's what it's like. Even if you ain't no racist, you'll let it happen because it's not you. And then you benefit from racism. If they don't hire no blacks and they only hire whites, you don't got to be a racist, but you're going to benefit, right? So what you going to say when it benefits you? You're going to take advantage of the benefit. That's what's up with that. That's why I used the wrong word. The word is bigot. It's not racism because racism is systematic. So he's got the wrong idea about racism. Racism is not individual. You can't be a racist. Racism is the only way you can be a racist is if you control some type of business or something. You can't be a racist just as a person. You can be a racist if you, the bus driver, you don't let somebody on the bus. You're not doing that as a person. You're doing that as the bus driver. Right? Well, racism, a minority can definitely be a racist if they do something socially based on the color of your skin. That would be a racist. So a black person can absolutely be a racist. I can absolutely be a racist where I'm controlling some type of business and I tell a white person they can't come because they're white. That's a racist. So anybody can be a racist if you do something systematically to discriminate against somebody based on the color of their skin. You see what I'm saying? And anybody could be a bigot. Blacks could be bigots and blacks could be racists. For sure. But they can't be racist as an individual. They can be a bigot. You can be a racist as an individual. Racism has got to have something systematic to it. So that's why a lot of black people say we can't be racist because we don't control the system, but we do have systems and we could be racist. We could have stores, and then if we didn't let white people come in our stores, that would be racist. So how you going to say we can't be racist? Yes, we can if we got businesses and we discriminate. It's systematic, and black people can be systematic. Black people can have systems, can have businesses, can have functions and discriminate. That would be racism. If you just really break it down, I don't really do racism like that. I only do individual activities. That's the code of the street. I only deal with individuals. You got to individually be a professional line crosser. You got to individually be a habitual line crosser. If you white and you cross the line, I'm going to deal with it. If you black and you cross the line, if you whatever, if you cross the line, I'm going to deal with it. I don't give a damn what you is. Don't be no habitual line crosser. That's all. Yeah. That's why I don't be like I'll watch situations and I'll talk about like what's going on. G-Rod, for example, I'll be doing situations and we'll be discussing Africa. And I'll be talking about Africa is this and that, but that's general in general. But I'm not going to meet no African and then go by something I seen on the internet and try to say this lady or this man got something to do with, somebody on the internet. Now that's when it get crazy. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So in some cases, people going to say Black America is this and that. And I understand what they're saying. They kind of saying it in general, and they would have to. And we can't say nothing. If it's too many of us doing it, then how else can they explain it but saying Black American? But what I be trying to do is I'll say that, I'll say, but not all. You got to throw that in there. It's like Black Americans be tripping. Not all, but too many of us. That's what I be, As long as you clarify, not all, but too many. If it's too many of y'all, then you got to hold that. If it's 100 people from a certain group and 80 of them act a messed up way, and then you say they act messed up, them 20 got to hold that because it's 80 a dude. So not of course, not all of y'all, but 80 out of 100 might as well be all y'all. You know what I'm saying? Get the other 80 in order. The hell? I'm just saying. But back to what I was talking about. So, like the code of the street is something that you got to learn. And a lot of people don't understand that. And that's why a lot of people, when we talk about Africa, that's why when people go to Africa, they get in trouble. Because they don't go by the code of the street. And the code of the street is like the code of the jungle. You have to read your environment. You have to study your environment and read your environment and know the code wherever you go. And that's why when you go somewhere new, you just don't jump out there. You take your time. You ever seen a tiger when it's walking through the jungle? It'd be like this. Before it put its paw down. Y'all ever notice that? Then it'd be like this. It'd be walking real slow. You ain't never see a tiger just walk through the jungle like that. The only way you're going to see a tiger walk freely in the jungle is he's in a certain area where he walk around all the time. But once he get out there in the bush where he don't be like all the time, he be walking, he be learning the code of the street. He know his snakes out there that'll bite him and he'd be a done. There's things out there that can hurt him. And so now when I went through that phase, then boom, I eventually moved to LA. And when I moved to LA, I had to learn the code of the streets. I wasn't no street dude, I was a Rasta. But that don't mean nothing. So most people will watch this and say, code of the streets, get out the streets. No, the streets is what you be in. Has nothing to do what you are. You got to know the codes of the street. If you don't know the code of the street, you're going to be in trouble. You got to know. That's the only way you can survive. So I moved to LA. I had to find out what's the code of the street. I never forget, me and my friend, we moved out around Barron Cross, and we had just got a new place, and we said, where's the store? And we went up on the main street, and they said, it's a store right there. We walked down to the store, and there was a bunch of brothers outside. And they said, what's up, cuz? And I said, what's up, blood? And they surrounded us. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why? Because I knew the code of the street. I know to say, whoa, whoa. You got to be outside to know that. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. We from Chicago. They said, oh, okay. No, they cool. They was like, brother, look. We Crips. I never had heard of a Crip before. It's like 1982. I had never heard of a Crip. I said, listen, bro, we Crips. When y'all come up to the store, brothers, where y'all from? Y'all Chicago? Okay, Chicago, brothers. Hey, they don't know they from Chicago. He said, man, when y'all come up to the store, brother, and we say, what's up, cuz? Y'all got to say, what's up, cuz? Now, I've always been like I am now, because you know what I said? Well, if you my cousin, ain't you my blood? He like, man, forget all that, man. When you come up here, see, I always been like this. These is gang members. But he had to tell me, bro, shut up and listen. No, I'm difficult. He didn't want to beat me up or nothing over it. Because I know in his mind, he was thinking, he right, though. Because I was like, well, if you my cousin, ain't you my, if you my cousin, ain't you my blood? He like, man, listen, no, just listen. Just say cuz, man. That's what he told me. I'm like, all right, I got it. That's what he told me. He went from wanting to beat me up to jump over saying it to telling me, bro, stop. Dang. So I say, what is y'all anyway? I'm like, we Rastas. They're like, okay, Rasta. That just showed they didn't even know what Rasta was like that did. I was way in South Central telling some young Crips we was Rastas. They see us with the military clothes on and the red, gold, and green and the Selassie pins and the army fatigue stuff. It's the code of the streets, though. I know, okay, they cuz, they Crips. This was way back then when a lot of people in LA used to say Crips stood for cowards running packs. I guess they didn't like them. I guess that was derogatory back then. So I had to learn how to move in LA. Then I moved to Hawaii. I had to learn the code of the streets in Hawaii. You have to be observant. Everywhere you go, there's going to be codes. There's going to be a way they live. There's going to be danger. There's going to be different types of law enforcement that also act different. And a lot of you young brothers, you don't got the code of the street when it comes to law enforcement. There's a certain way you got to deal with law enforcement. And a lot of young brothers, you don't know the code of the street. When I say code of the street, everybody thought it was just gang stuff. No, code of the street go for the police too. You got to know the proper protocol when you dealing with the police. That a lot of brothers don't know. It's a way you got to deal with the police. First thing you got to know, if you in the area you in all the time, the police got to know you. So they'll leave you alone. You can't aggravate the police and go back in them police's area. So you got to know military. You know, you got to know the codes. So when you bump into police, you treat the police like another soldier, like you a soldier. He a soldier over there, you a soldier in there. So it's not like, oh, he an opposite soldier. It's like, okay, I meet a police officer. And it's like, I'm in the Navy and he in the Marines. It's not like he's in something, but he's a Marine. I'm a Navy. I'm in the Navy. So from officer to officer, you got to understand and respect him as a Marine, and you got to behave as you in the Navy. And then they won't bother you like that. They won't put the hit on you like that to go and make you miserable. You'll get the green light. You don't be abrasive with the police. For what? Your job is, it ain't no police you can't win over. You can win any police over. Facts. You got to always deal with a police officer based on the codes of the street. And the code of the street is simple. The street code, the police, it's a dude at work. That's the code of the street concerning the police. It's a man that be at home. He got to get up and put his uniform and all that and go to work to pay his bills. Then he be a police. Then when he get back home, he just a dude watching football or whatever he do. A lot of days he don't feel like coming to work, just like you don't feel like coming to work. These are the things you got to learn about the streets, young black man. If you want to move around on these streets, you got to meet everybody where they at. That's the code of the street. You got to meet the businessman where the businessman is at. If he's a businessman, deal with him like you a businessman. If he's a police officer, deal with him like you a soldier. You some type of officer. This is how it go. If you do that, you won't have no whole lot of problems in life. You won't be going around making trouble for yourself. And you got to see trouble early, far. Every time you can't see trouble, because sometimes you ain't looking at it. So trouble could be over there and you looking over here. So that don't mean you can avoid trouble. But you can like minimize how much trouble could come your way. And so when I was talking to the guys today, that made me think about that because when they locked me up in the county jail, I wasn't no gang member. I wasn't no always in jail type of criminal. I got locked up for herb a lot because they was just discriminating. But I wasn't what they was, but I was hustling hard. I was hustling. I was doing what the system called crimes, but I wasn't moving like a criminal because I was doing legitimate business. It was just illegal according to the United States. But with my customers, I did business just like I'm McDonald's, Burger King, or anything else. Fair, honest business with my customers. And you got to know the code. You got to go by codes or you're not going to survive. You're not going to be able to move nowhere. You got to have to watch where you drive because every neighborhood ain't the same. You got to know this stuff. And when you're a man, you got to teach a woman this stuff. You got to teach her so she go out there and know what to do. You keep your mouth shut in the streets over hostile situations. That's the code of the streets. When you run into somebody that's in a hostile situation, you don't do that. You try to keep doing what you're going to do, or you try to de-escalate. That's the streets. In the streets, when you get outside in the streets, you got to know how to get past stuff. You can't be confrontational. These are the codes of the streets if you're going to survive out here. You can't be abrasive. You can't be like that. When you running, you going, let's say you finna go and you going, ladies, you going to get your hair done. You leave out your way to get the hair done. You say you're going to stop at the store to get some. You stop at the store to get some. Some lady with a buggy, she say something, she want to argue. The code of the street is you're going somewhere else. Let that go. De-escalate that. Get whatever you try to get and go wherever you was going. How are you going to blow where you was going? Because on the way there, you ran into her and she tripping. The code of the street is to always de-escalate so you can do what you got to do. Sometimes you get so caught up in trying to win. You're not trying to win. If I leave and I'm on my way to the laundromat, I stop at the store. Some dude try to cut me off or something with his car. He roll the window down. Watch where you going. You can't see what the hell wrong with you. I'm going to do this. He going to roll his window up. He going to go. I'm going to go to my first stop. I'm going to go to my second stop. Because the code of the street, no. He say something, you say something, he say something, he shoot. You don't understand he might shoot. He might be a crash dummy. He might throw his life away and hurt you and get rid of your life at the same time. Because now you don't got no street mentality. Street mentality A street mentality is not emotional and confrontational. A street mentality is based on going to do what was you going to do. All right, go do what you're trying to do. You don't do distractions. If you call me, you want $25 worth of something, I'm going to leave home. I'm going to bring you the 25 and go. Any fool in the way, I'm going to try to do whatever I could do because I got to get this 25 to you. I got to get back home. I can't. It's the streets. It's the streets. You got to know the code. The streets is a jungle. What they say is like a jungle sometimes. It make me wonder how I keep from going under. So you got to know you in the jungle, and you got to go by the codes, what it takes to get through the jungle and to get back what you do. It's no different than the speed limit. A good example of the code of the street is the speed limit. If you trying to go, your daughter call you and say, Mama or Daddy, it's emergency. I got to go and do this, and I got to be there by 4 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock, you could be there at 3:15. But instead of you going, getting in the car, put on your seatbelt, driving the speed limit, you start driving fast. She got to be somewhere at 4 o'clock. Police pull you over. Rather than you be quiet and get your ticket so that you could still go and pick your daughter up, you start arguing with the police. Next thing you know, you get locked up. Your daughter missed whatever was important for her. All of this. When you could have just shut up, went by the code of the street, took the ticket, and continued where you was going and kept your mouth shut. No. You break all the codes and mess your life up, like Sandra Bland. Sandra Bland was a horrible hero to have for people because all she had to do was shut up and get the ticket. She would still be alive. Maybe she might have been alive, something else could have happened to her, but she wouldn't have passed away like that. She did everything wrong. I really did not like them honoring her. She was a horrible example. Pull you light a cigarette, blowing a cigarette out on the police face. All you had to do was sit there, get her damn ticket, keep her mouth shut, and go on about her day. No, that was too much like right. And everybody tried to make her like a hero when we got these children out here. And now what our children? Yeah, your daughter go out here and do that, the same thing happened to her. And I've been out here doing all type of stuff, and I've been stopped by how many police? I've been handcuffed by how many police? How many groups of police I had? I had 4 or 5 police run up on me. And I have never been hit, not one time, by no police. Never. Because I understand the code of the street. And the police is reactionary. So if you don't act, they won't react. They be lost. That's a fact. If you keep your mouth shut, go along with whatever they saying, you'll be fine. Even if they just want to be bogus and grab me on my car. Anyway, well, you're going to jail. Put the handcuffs on me, put them on tight. I ain't going to say nothing. For what? To get unalived out here? I'm going to get in the car, they're going to take me to the police station. By the time he get me to the police station, he ready to let me go home. You know why? Because I know the code of the street. And the fun he was trying to have, he didn't get to have it because I ain't say nothing. So now by the time he get to the police station, I'm no fun. His whole mind is changing concerning me, man. Let me let this guy go home. That's how that works. Because I'm not finna say nothing. For what? Go on, take me to the police station. Because you got to take me to the police station, to a sergeant, lieutenant. And when I walk in that police station and I'm quiet and I'm not all upset, they're going to ask you, what are he in here for? You know, he did something. They're going to look at him and say, man, they might put me and lock me up, but they're going to let me go. They're going to send me home because they're going to be like, he did what? He don't look like he did nothing. Why he don't even look mad? And when you're not mad, they feel like you innocent. That's how police think. When you're not mad, they feel like you a person be minding your business. They're ready to send you home. These is facts. But if you get mad, you allow them to get madder. Duh. You wiggling, you squirming, you running your mouth. Man, let them put the cuffs on you and take you to jail. You'll be all right. Keep your mouth shut. Go to jail, get released. That's all they're going to do is let you go. If you don't, a lot of times they ain't going to even take you if you don't be talking crazy. They don't teach our young brothers that. One time I was driving down the highway. A state police, he pulled up next to my car. He seen I had a nice car. He pulled a little in front of me and he slowed down. He looked at my car. Then he slowed down some more and got behind me and pulled me over. I swear to God, I'm driving the speed limit. He driving, he finna pass my car. You see, it's a nice car. He see them nice rims and stuff. He slowed down. Then he slowed down some more. Then he got behind me. He was like he had pulled up in front of me. And then he moved over. Then he slowed down, let me pass. He got behind me. He pulled me over. For nothing. No speed limit or nothing. So he pulled me over. He checking my car and stuff like that. Looking at my license, my insurance. And he says, you ever been to jail? I said, I just got the county jail the other day. He gave my license. So I said, okay, you can go. I was too calm for that. He said, you been to jail? I said, sure, I just got out. I just got the county. I talked to him just like I talked to y'all. I talked to him just like I'm doing here. I told him I just got out the other day. I didn't go through all that. Why you pulled me over? All that. They ain't say nothing. Bro, go ahead. Just do what you do what you doing. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna tow the car and take me to jail, just get it going. Okay? What the hell you know? You gotta know the code of the streets. Shut up talking to the police. Don't show no fear. Don't show no anger. Period. Under no circumstance to the police. You don't show them no anger and you don't show them no fear. Period. Because you got to remember the police got to take you to another police who makes the decision. That police don't even make no decision. That's just the police to take you to the other police, the more high-ranking police. Keep your mouth shut. What is all this? For what? It's the police. What's wrong with you? You talk, the police pulled me over. It's the police. That's what they do. They pull people over. He pulled you over for nothing. Okay, so what you upset for? You ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? You letting somebody play with you and play with your emotions. And if you show they can play with your emotions, they just gonna make it worse and worse and worse. They only gonna stop playing with you when you're not playing. If they want to play a game, it take two people to play the game. If a police officer pull me over to play a game with me, if I don't play with him, he ready to quit because I ain't no fun. Same thing at your job or anything. This is how you survive in the streets. You can't be emotional. You can't forget what you set out to do that day and get caught up with something in between. You can't be wasting your time arguing for no reason. And once the police pull you over, they could take you to jail. You can argue till you turn blue. They can write you a ticket. They can search your vehicle. They can take you to jail, whatever. What you gonna do about it? And if you can't handle that, don't drive, don't come outside, stay in the house. You know what I'm saying? Because you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Basically. And if you got a complaint and you can't turn it into no lawsuit, because if you got a lawsuit, you only gonna win if you keep your mouth shut. If you get out there arguing and stuff, you can't even sue. You can't even sue. If they discriminate against you and you keep your mouth shut, you got a lawsuit. But if you go out there talking crazy, you helping them throw your case out. You get your whole case thrown out because you said this and you said that because you don't know the code of the street. And jail and all that is the code of the street. Young black man, listen to me. All that's the code of the street. I'm going to tell you, young brothers, and you sisters too, a code of the street that nobody would tell you is a code of the street, but it is. This is a code of the street. You got the right to remain silent. Anything said can, and this is the kicker, and will be held against you in the court of law. Anything can be held against you and will. Now take can out. When you take can out, what does it say? You got the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be held against you in the court of law. So on the street, you got to be cool, calm, and collected all the time. Even in emergency, no matter what, you got to keep a level of calmness. If the house catch on fire, you'll never get your wife and children out of there if you panic. The only way you're going to get everybody out of there is stay calm. You got to calm them out to get them, calm them down to get them out of there. The goal is to get out of there. The goal ain't to be screaming and being up here all upset do not get you to the door. So you got to know. You young brothers, the gangs, leave them gangs alone. Because the gang got all different type of gang members. And all you're going to do is end up being around the wrong one. They just got you, bro, man, life. They just gave Prince. I don't know how much time Prince getting. I don't know how much time they getting. Forever. Because a lot of them, they be big time notorious gang members and stuff like that. But they be going by the gang literature, but they be forgetting they don't be going by the street code. And you would think, damn, gang leaders, gang chiefs, you would think they would know the street code and how to function. They don't. They don't even know the street code they sell. They don't live by no street code. They live by the gang code. The gang code ain't the street code. See what I'm saying? You got to read everything what's going on, and you got to make sure you always calm and safe. That's it. You got to look to where everything is headed. Where is this headed to? Okay, I'm finna put on all this jewelry and all this stuff and go somewhere. Where is this? Oh, that's headed to a robbery. That's where that's headed. You finna get robbed. See what I'm saying? That's why a lot of times we don't like them fancy cars. Because we don't want no attention. The streets, you don't want attention. A lot of these brothers, they go by these cars, and everything that they get in jewelry goes against the codes. Everything. Because when you got money, you do not want to be seen. And you can't, I keep trying to tell people with money this day, will not get it through their head. When you get money, you're not supposed to be seen. And when you see somebody get money and you see them buying all this fancy stuff to be seen, then you know they never wanted money. They wanted to be seen. They wasn't in it for the money. They was in it for somebody to see them. And not gonna be their downfall. Because if you're in it for the money, why somebody gotta see it? Make that make some sense. So look, I hope y'all learned something from this. You don't think. You young brothers out there think about the street code. It ain't what they told you it is. Self-preservation is everything. And don't get yourself in something you can't get yourself out of. That's just fact. A lot of this stuff they teaching these young dudes about the street, that's all lies. They ain't teaching y'all the truth about the streets. Even when you come to the dark side of the streets, they ain't gonna teach you. It's real basic. It can teach you simple. Rule number 1, don't get unalive. Rule number 2, don't go to jail and prison. Yeah, it don't take much. Rule number 3, anything can happen, will happen. So if you're doing some stuff that can send you to jail, it possibly will send you to jail. So function accordingly. All right. Victory.